What is going on, guys and gals? Welcome to your 12th C++ tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be giving you guys an introduction to classes and objects. Now, classes are basically an easy way to group all your functions and variables and to group a bunch of stuff together. For example, people like to group similar functions together in the same class. For example, if you had a bunch of functions, maybe working with temperature, or you had a bunch of other related functions, you might want to group them all in the same class. It makes them easier to work with later on. So then, if you have like 1,000 functions, you say, all right, where are all my temperature functions? Because I need them now. Oh, they're in my temperature class. So that is kind of the usefulness of classes and the basics behind that. So let's go ahead and in order to create a class, we go ahead and make sure you're outside your main. First of all, I want to say that. So I'm going to create mine before my main. And in order to do this, go ahead and type the word class. And now, after this, go ahead and add a space and name your class. Now, people typically name their class with uppercase letters, and I'm going to name mine Bucky's class, just like that. And now go ahead and add curly braces and a semicolon at the end. Now everything, all your functions, all your variables, all your crap goes inside the body of your class right here. So basically, all your crap that you want to go in the class goes in the class body, just like that. And I believe whenever you create a class, it's called declaring a class, but if your teacher ever asks you, make sure you say that. They'll probably be impressed. So before we start adding a bunch of functions and stuff, I want to talk to you guys about something called an access specifier. Now, sometimes you want to make functions that you can only use in your class, and sometimes you want to make functions that anybody can use outside your class. So if you want, for example, the main to be able to use your functions inside your class, you need to make your functions public. If you don't want main to be able to use the functions inside your class, then you would use something called private, but we're going to be going over that later. For now, just remember, whenever you use the public access specifier, it says that you can use it outside of the class. So in order to use that public access specifier, just go ahead and type public with a colon, not a semicolon, just a regular colon. And this means that anything you put after this, you're able to use it outside of this class. So if you didn't have that, then you would only be able to use your stuff right here. And what's the use of that if you need to put it in main? So anyways, make sure you add public. It's called an access specifier if you're taking, a C++ test or something. So now let's go ahead and we create a function just like before. Let me just go ahead and print out something on the screen. So it's not going to make any calculation, so it's just going to print something out. So void. I'm going to name it cool saying, and it's not going to take any parameters. A really simple function here, and all it's going to do is print something out on the screen. Now I got to think of a cool saying. Preaching. Wow, totally messed that up. Preaching to the choir. I think that's how you spell choir. Not sure. Hope I don't look like a fool in front of all my subscribers. So now just go ahead and end line. And so all this function is going to do is print out preaching to the choir on the screen. Simple enough. So now you're saying, alright, this class looks good to go. We have the class declaration, class body, we have public, and we even have one function in our class. This is a pretty sweet looking class. So let's go ahead and use this right now. Well, now I want to talk to you guys about the other part of this tutorial. I told you guys I'm going to be talking about classes and objects. I already talked to you guys about classes. Now I want to talk to you guys about objects. An object is how you access the stuff inside of your class. For example, why do you need to make objects at all? Why can't you just write cool sayings just like this and use it just like that? Well, whenever you're making big computer programs and you have a bunch of different classes and a bunch of different functions in them, you may have this cool sayings. You may have a function that says cool sayings inside Bucky class. You may have another function cool sayings inside tuna class. You may have another function cool sayings inside a class temperature class. Well, how does C++ know what function you want to use? Well, it needs an object, and an object basically tells it what class you're working with. So in order to create an object, it's basically the same as creating a variable. You go ahead and you do this. You type the name of your class, which is Bucky's class, And then after this, you give your object a name. And I'm just going to name mine Bucky's object, just like that. And go ahead and add a semicolon. And now this object, Bucky's object, you use this kind of as the key whenever you want to access the crap inside your class. So now, instead of just writing the function name, we have to write the object name first, like Bucky's object. And then in order to access anything inside the class, we need to use a dot separator. And a dot separator is basically our way of accessing the variables, the functions, all that stuff. So as you can see, we'll put the dot separator up, and it already knows that we're what we want to do. We want to access cool saying just like before. Just type the name of the function and empty parameters, and bam, wham, thank you ma'am. We now have a full working program. So let me run this for you real quick to show you guys that it's working, make sure I don't have any errors, and then I'll talk you guys through it one last time. Preaching to the choir. Works perfectly. Pretty cool, huh? So anyways, people make classes in order to group similar functions. So if I had, a program that just had a bunch of cool sayings, I'd have cool sayings 1, cool sayings 2. I'd want to put them all in the same class. For now, we only have one function because this is just an example. So we have a function that we put inside the class, and make sure to make it public. That means that main can use it as well. So we have a class, and we made that by making public and threw a function inside it. Pretty cool. So now we wanted to actually use that function that's inside the class. Well, we can't just go ahead and write cool saying, because if we had a bunch of different classes, it wouldn't know which function named cool saying to use. So it wouldn't know what class we wanted to use. So in order to use that function, we needed to make an object of that class. So we're saying, alright, we're making an object called Bucky's object, and it is from the Bucky's class. So now whenever we use Bucky's object, it knows that we're going to be working with Bucky's class. So we use Bucky's object cool saying, and that knows, and that's basically our way of telling C++ that we want to use the cool saying function, and we want it to come from Bucky's class since we use Bucky's object. So that is why you need objects, classes, and yada yada, all that stuff. So that is your basics of classes and objects, and why you need to make objects before you can use the stuff inside your class. So I know this is kind of confusing, but this is the basics behind object-oriented programming. So if you understand this, then tutorial, then the rest of your programming life is going to be a whole lot more simple. So watch this tutorial, watch it again, until you understand exactly how to make classes and exactly why objects are useful. And once you do, you're ready to move on to the next tutorial. So for now, thank you guys for watching. You guys have no idea how important the information you just learned was. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to ask me on thenewboston.com/forum. So yeah, enough of me talking. I'll see you in the next tutorial.